Did you know that King's Table is what brought us to New Hope? We heard Pastor Matt on the radio, inviting people to help out, and I thought to myself, I must look up that church. I've always been impressed by churches that get out into the community and serve people in practical ways. It also helps that our surname is King, so it just seemed like we needed to be there. We'd been in Brisbane for almost a year and had visited a couple of churches, 2 of which I thought we would serve in, but somehow it just didn't feel like home. After hearing Pastor Matt on radio, I googled New Hope, and in January this year we attended our first service, and we never left. I'm here to tell you that volunteering at King's Table will change your life. Of course you're helping the people you're serving, but let me tell you, it does just as much for you as it does for them. So what am I on about? Well, I don't know about you, but when I'm really hungry, I find it quite difficult to concentrate. I won't mention names, but I know certain people who get really hangry. Now that's hungry and angry combined, just in case you haven't heard that word before. For me, my stomach starts rumbling really loudly, and I start thinking about what there is to eat in the fridge or in the pantry. Now I work from home, so my office is 12 steps to the fridge and 13 steps to the pantry. And yes, I got up to count the exact number of steps because I like to be accurate. At any given time, I can get out of my chair, walk 12 or 13 steps, and grab a bite to eat. But have you ever thought what it would be like if you didn't have a fridge or a pantry or even a place to call home? What if you didn't know where your next meal would come from or even where you would sleep tonight? Some of you may have experienced this before, and maybe you're going through it right now. I can't even imagine what it would be like. It makes me realize how fortunate I am. Now, I'm not telling you all of this to make you feel guilty, but I am telling you this to let you know that you can do something to help. You might be thinking that you don't have any extra money to help out, but time is just as important as money. If you're able to give of your time, you can make a difference. You can serve at King's Table. And why is it so important to serve? Well, first and foremost, God told us to, and that's pretty much good enough for me. But seriously, serving people is a way to demonstrate the love of God. It shows that you're willing to put the needs of another person before your own needs. It also teaches you humility and how to treat others as you would want to be treated. If we go to Matthew chapter 6, verses 31 to 33, it says, "Treat others the same way you want them to treat you. If you love those who love you, what credit is that to you? For even sinners love those who love them. If you do good to those who do good to you, what credit is that to you? For even sinners do the same." We are called not just to serve the people we know and love, but to also serve strangers and people who may be outcasts of society. My interest in serving at soup kitchens and shelters started many years ago. A group from my church in South Africa traveled to a coastal town called Durban to help out at a shelter called the Ark. We spent time with some of the residents and went out to share the gospel on the streets. It was something new and quite scary for me, but there was something about being there that just captured my heart. Hearing people's stories made me really sad, but it also gave me great joy to share the hope of salvation. The next year I went back again with a friend, and we stayed for a week, helping out wherever we could. I learned so much, and it changed my outlook on homelessness forever. I think it comes from my Chinese heritage, but sharing a meal is a joyous occasion, and there's always an abundance of food. The idea that a person might not have enough food to eat literally brings me to tears, and that's why soup kitchens are one of my favorite places to serve. When you serve at King's Table, you're feeding people in 3 ways. Number 1, physically. Number 2, emotionally. And number 3, spiritually. You're feeding them physically because serving a plate of food to someone nourishes their body. They might not get to eat regular meals, so knowing that every Friday they can enjoy a delicious hot lunch is something they can look forward to. Number 2, you're feeding them emotionally because you can sit at the table and get to know some of the people you're serving. You can listen to their stories and show an interest in who they are. They could be lonely and might not have anyone else to talk to. Number 3, you're feeding them spiritually because they're hearing the word of God through whoever is ministering on that day. You might even have the opportunity to pray for them. There are people that wouldn't ordinarily come to church on a Sunday, but they will come to King's Table. You get to accomplish 3 wonderful things in one afternoon of serving. I'm reminded of the miracle of Jesus feeding the 5,000 people with 5 loaves and 2 fish. John 6, chapter 9 to 11. There is a lad here who has 5 barley loaves and 2 fish. But what are these for so many people? Jesus said, "Have the people sit down." Now there was much grass in that place, so the men sat down in number about 5,000. Jesus took the loaves, having given thanks, he distributed to those who were seated. Likewise also of the fish, as much as they wanted. Jesus gave the bread and fish to the disciples to distribute to those who were sitting down. They were serving meals to the people, and everyone ate as much as they wanted. And after all of that, they still had 12 baskets of food left over. Every Friday, we trust for enough food to feed everyone, and I have no doubt that there's been miraculous multiplication more than once or twice. When we're doing something God's way, He provides everything we need. When I served at King's Table, I also loved getting to know the people I was working with. I think I was the only newbie that day, and I watched as everyone played their parts and knew exactly what they needed to do. I pitched in wherever I was needed, from serving the food and drink to clearing and drying dishes and packing up after it was all over. Serving teaches you how to work as part of a team and how to take instruction from a team leader. If you're willing to jump in no matter what the job is, you'll learn how to be humble and servant-hearted. So this is my call to you. Let your actions speak louder than your words. Sign up to serve at King's Table and show the world what it really means to be a Christian. John 13:34-35. A new commandment I give to you, that you love one another even as I have loved you, that you also love one another. By this all men will know that you are my disciples, if you have love one for another. I end with this question today. Will I see you on Friday?